talk about gels. Gels are heat-resistant sheets of plastic, usually with color in them or sometimes just diffusion in them. There are two types of gels. There are gels and diffusion. First, we're going to talk about gels, and the first classification I like to talk about are color correction. I have in my hand color temperature blue, CTB. And why would you use this? Let's say you're doing a shot where you have a big picture window and the main source in your scene is sunlight coming through the window. And all your lights, you need to add some fill, and all your lights are tungsten lights. Well, you'll need to toss a blue gel on them to make them match the daylight. Otherwise, you'll have one side of the face will be all blue and the other side orangish. So this way you have a nice, even color temperature. Now let's move on to color temperature orange, CTO. And this is, again, going to color your lights kind of warmish. Why would you use this? Well, let's say you've got, again, another situation where you have some daylight streaming in, but the window is very small and the rest of your scene is lit by tungsten light. Well, you toss a gel like this on a window, it'll convert the daylight to tungsten and all your color balances match. Now you can use these color temperature gels for effects too. Let's say you've got a tungsten light, you put an orange gel on it, it'll really warm it up for a sunlight effect, like a sunrise or a sunset on somebody's face. You get your blue gel out and put it on your lights and maybe double it up to create a really blue effect, and it makes them really cool and it looks like a moonlight effect. You underexpose a little bit and you have day for night. The next classification of gels I like to call party gels, and this is color for color's sake. You may want to put that on a scene where somebody's sick or some accent, or a red gel like we have on the background here for an accent. But if it's like a horror film, you can really, make the monster look scarier or create a sense of danger. Party gels are a lot of fun. Usually I don't use them in dramas because they overpower, but in a horror film you can have a lot of fun with party gels. The next classification we have is diffusion. And what these are, again, are kind of gels, except they don't have any color in them. And you put these in front of your lights to soften the sources. In this hand I have opal, which is a soft diffusion. It doesn't cut it as much. And this is 216, which really cuts the light down. In general, when you have lights, your tungsten lights, you don't want to point a naked light at people, because in general, most of your time, your lights in real life are kind of soft source. You don't have really hard lights unless it's a flashlight or a headlight. So you'll toss a hunk of diffusion on the light to soften up. How do you attach a gel to a light? Well, basically just put the gel in front of the light, get a C47 media attachment clip, otherwise known as a clothespin, attach it to your light like this. And we're just putting a little diffusion on this light, which is probably what you're going to do a lot of the time. Don't use plastic C47s, they'll melt. Another gel you're going to use is called an ND, or neutral density filter. And this basically just cuts the output of the light. Why would you need this gel? Let's say you're shooting in a very small room and you need to use lights, but they're too bright for your subject. You can't get them back any further. Toss in a neutral density filter, it'll cut the intensity of the light and you can still use it. Where do you get these gels? Well, you can go to a theatrical supply store in your town or find an online source like Film Tools and order the gels. They can come in sheets like this at about $6 a pop. You can get them in rolls, but that's hundreds of dollars. Unless you're like gelling a ton of windows, you're probably not going to get a roll of gel. You can also buy little packets with different variety of gels. Some's the color correction, which will have CTO and CTB. There's a variety pack, which I recommend for beginners, which has some color correction, some diffusion, and maybe a party gel or two. A handy thing to get from one of these theatrical supply stores is a filter swatch book. And you can look at all the gels in this and say, oh, let's go with this or let's go with that. So it gives you a lot of variety and really nail down your gel choices. I hope you found this tip helpful, and I hope it helps you make better looking movies.